Last week, we saw a team that had lost to another team 18 consecutive times, and they won. An 18-game slide came to a screeching halt. This week, there's a 20-game slide that's coming to a screeching halt. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. In the meantime, let me say you are awesome. Thank you for stopping by college football this week here on Midwest Sports Net. I am glad that you're with us tonight. It's a Sunday night. We have a lot to talk about, some big games, including the one that we are going to get started with right now. And I'm going to bring in someone who was there to get to watch Lindsey Wilson and Georgetown this weekend. Chris Wells, who is the play-by-play voice for the Blue Raiders and has been all the way through the tenure there of the program. And Chris, first off, let's just start really quickly at the beginning. Final score, Lindsey Wilson 37, Georgetown 13. I can't say I'm surprised that Lindsey Wilson won. I mean, they were both very good teams. Lindsey Wilson comes in undefeated. I was a little bit surprised by the margin of victory. So tell us a little bit about your perspective and overall vantage of the game.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by the outcome as well, but I think it's a little misleading. I think Lindsey Wilson was the better team on both sides of the football that day, yesterday. But if you look at the box score or watch the game, Georgetown has the football with Lindsey Wilson up 21-10 late in the second quarter. I even said on the broadcast that I thought this was an important stop for Lindsey Wilson just to keep the momentum because Georgetown was going to start the second half with the football. So if Georgetown goes down and scores and then comes out of the locker room with some momentum and they score again, then it's a completely different ball game. But I think the Lindsey Wilson defense did force a punt for Georgetown. Blue Raiders had exactly 1 minute. I think they started around their own 40, 43-yard line, so to speak, and then drove down and managed to get a field goal at the end. So I think that kept the momentum on Lindsey Wilson's side, allowed the Blue Raiders to take a 24-10 lead into the locker room. And then Georgetown did get the ball to start the third quarter, but again, another forced punt. And from then on, it was just maintain your distance between a very dangerous Georgetown team. Got a lot of respect for Coach Perrin and the Tiger team, and it was a really, really good win for Lindsey Wilson yesterday.
Yeah, the Blue Raiders 5-0 now at really the midpoint of the season after 6 weeks in the books and 6 more on the way. And I know a lot more important games coming up. I want to talk about the offense really quickly and
Sure.
Overall then in the game, and then mention a couple of players in particular, but 10 of 14 on third down. That has to go a long way toward getting a win.
Yeah, I think that was a key stat. I think the +2 and the turnover margin was a key stat. But you kind of demoralize the other team's defense when you can convert. And some of those third downs were, third medium or long, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8. Georgetown really sold out to try to stop the Lindsey Wilson run, which they did a pretty good job early. My play-by-play or my partner who does the broadcast, Bob Boone, not the former catcher of Kansas City, and I just dated myself a little bit. Sorry about that. But he said that these are body blows. These are body blows, and he was exactly right. And I think ultimately, Georgetown came in only giving up like 70 yards, 78 yards of rushing per game, and Lindsey Wilson had one guy, Tay Saunders, had over 150 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. So I just believe that those body blows helped Lindsey Wilson throughout the game. But ultimately, the third down conversion and the turnover margin, I really believe helped. And then something we'll talk about, I'm sure, in a little bit, that fourth quarter drive that is still a head scratcher to me. And we didn't even talk about that before. It's amazing what Lindsey Wilson did on that drive. We'll talk more about that. No, but the third down was awesome.
Chris, go ahead and go right into that. That's fine. Tell us about that drive since we're there. Go into it.
Yeah, so in my history of Lindsey Wilson football, and I've done every football game at Lindsey Wilson play-by-play with the exception of one since 2010, I can't remember us having a drive like that, especially against a team of the caliber of Georgetown. I wrote it down. We went 17 plays, 73 yards, and took 10 minutes and 46 seconds off the clock. That's just demoralizing for a defense that they can't get off the field. Lindsey was converted 4 third downs and 1 fourth down in that drive. And just to know, and Georgetown's offense just chomping at the bit to get back out there to try to cut into that deficit, and they just never could. And ultimately, it resulted in a touchdown, and basically that ended the game, even though there was still a little more than 3 minutes to go. But in my entire career, I don't believe I've called a 10-minute and 47 drive, 10-minute 47-second drive. It was just amazing.
And for your career, I'm sure if you ever going to call one of those, you want it to be for the team in blue. To call exactly. That, because you don't want to be as anxious as the team and the fans, opposing fans, right, to say, get off the field. Oh my goodness.
That's exactly right.
We're speaking now with Chris Wells, who is the play-by-play voice for Lindsey Wilson and has served in a number of capacities there at now Lindsey Wilson University. Yep. Is it difficult for you to say LWU?
I can't say it because as soon as I say LWC automatically pops out. So I just, at least for the first half of the season, I just make sure that I say Lindsey Wilson every time.
Right.
It's funny because I pre-record my pregame show with my coach's interview, and for years and years we're speaking with LWC head football coach, yada yada, whoever, Mm-hmm. And so I just say Lindsey Wilson just to make sure that I don't. I think I've said LWC on the air twice, and I've immediately apologized both times. But it's just to be expected. We've been Lindsey Wilson College since 1903, and finally Lindsey Wilson University for the first time this year. But it's really cool.
Okay, and I'm not going to say you dated yourself with that because I don't think you were there in 03 when it began. But
that's right.
That goes a little far back. You talked about Tay Saunders, and again, what a game. He's had a good season, but what a game. 24 carries, 153 yards on the ground, and 3 rushing touchdowns. 1 of 1 yard to finish off a drive, 1 of 58 to take care of the drive by himself, and then another one, the 1 yard touchdown as well. So a big day for Saunders.
Yeah, and we have some special skill players on our team, and Saunders is a All-American candidate without any question. I told Coach Phil Kleckler on the bus ride up, I said, he is 23 yards from 1,000 for rushing yards for his career. He got that early in the first half, and he said, he said that's great, but I want him to get 1,000 rushing yards this season. I said, well, he's well on his way. He's a special player, special young man. He can go north to south. He can go east to west. He does not avoid contact, but when he gets in the open field, it's tough for guys to catch him. He's got a lot of speed and a lot of power, and he's the workhorse in our backfield and the leader of that running back room. He's a special player.
When the season got underway, Pryor Lamb was the starting quarterback and opened the season up really well. As a matter of fact, that Texas Wesleyan win was just huge. It was a big-time win to start the season. And by the way, a side note on that, I had mentioned early on, Texas Wesleyan won the game last year, ran the table in the regular season. If Lindsey Wilson wins this game, are they going to run the table in the regular season this year? And they've done nothing to dispel that thought that could happen. But then Lamb goes down early in the second contest, enter Tate Rice. And to this point, I mean, it's just the results have been fantastic.
Yeah, Pryor Lamb is a terrific quarterback and a captain on our team, and it was heartbreaking. Really, we were down at Ave Maria for a road game, the first road game of the season for us, and it was just kind of a freak play. He rolled out of the pocket, was scrambled out, and took a little bit of a hit. It wasn't even what you would consider an injury hit. It was just a little bit of a hit, but he said he heard it break and went over to the sideline. And at the time, it was at the end of a drive anyway, because I think the next play was a 4th down. We were going to have to punt because he was short of getting to the line of game to the first down marker. So he went to the sideline, and from my vantage point, I didn't even really pay that much attention. And I get a text message from our athletic director, which is on the sideline, and he basically alerted me of what had just happened. And I was like, oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now what? And Tate comes in and was phenomenal in that game, threw 4 touchdown passes. He threw another 4 the next game, and he's just been rock solid. I mean, he's completing 70% of his passes. He's got like 12, 13 touchdowns to 1 interception. You get that kind of ratio out of your backup quarterback, or any quarterback for that matter, and you're going to go a long, long way.
I know we've talked about the offense a lot. Let me drop a statistic for you really quickly. So Lindsey Wilson has faced Georgetown now 16 times,
That's
10
right.
and 6 all time now against the Tigers. And Lindsey Wilson is one of only two teams that has played Georgetown a minimum of 15 times that has a winning record against Georgetown.
Interesting.
So there you go. Carson Newman, by the way, the only other one that's played Georgetown at least that many times that has a winning record against Georgetown. Had you thought about that as a stat you knew going in? And Carson Newman, that's pretty good company to keep.
Yeah, I did not know that. That's interesting. Georgetown is one of two teams Lindsey Wilson's played every year since we started football in 2016. The other one is 18 miles up the road, Campbellsville, and we'll play them for the Battle of Highway 55 later in a few weeks. But it was interesting because when we played Georgetown, they had their way with us the first 4 years. We lost their first four with Georgetown. Then we won 9 in a row. And I remember our head coach at that time, Chris Oliver, looking at me after we had won 8 straight. And he said, "Can you believe we beat those guys 8 straight?" And I said, "No, I can't. I mean, that's not something you do. That's not the way it's supposed to happen." But we lost 4, won 9, lost 2 because Georgetown had won the last 2 regular season championships in the Mid-South without losing. And Lindsey on yesterday ended their 2-year run without a loss in the Mid-South. So that's a great stat. It's one that I'm sure my SID knows, but it's one that going in I should have known as a play-by-play guy. So thank you, Joey, for pointing that out to me.
We're trying to bring some random stats to the table.
That's
here.
right.
We do that here on Midwest Sports Net. Okay, you alluded to Campbellsville, and Chris, I really appreciate your time on a Sunday night. Let's talk about that. You look ahead then. Cumberland's next week, and then the Battle of Highway 55 with Campbellsville in what could be 2 undefeated teams. I know you don't want to look past Cumberland's. It's a very good opponent, quality opponent. Should be a really good game, both of those. Can you give us just a preview to tell us what we might see?
Of the Campbellsville game? Either
one of them.
Okay, yeah. So, the mantra of Lindsey Wilson football from day one has been go 1-0. I think that every coach kind of has that mentality, but it truly is something that has been ingrained in our student athletes and in our coaching staff from day one. Is just worry about going 1-0 every week. You get 10 opportunities to do so, and you shouldn't look past that. Certainly not going to look past the University of the Cumberlands. If you look at, I know you'll have people from the mid-states. I think you had a guest last week from the mid-states. You'll have people from the Heart, and they'll all say how good their conference is, and they are. They are some great teams. But I challenge any conference in America to have from top to bottom what the Mid-South has. We have 6 of our 7 teams got mentioned in this past week's poll, and now we're just going to beat up on each other the rest of the way. Yeah. So therefore, more than likely, you're going to end up with 3, maybe 4 teams ranked at the end of the season. But Cumberland's took Campbellsville, even though Campbellsville kind of separated at the very end. They took Campbellsville, a really good Campbellsville, on their homecoming, on their field over in Campbellsville down to the wire. It's going to be a tough matchup. The Cumberlands beat Lindsey Wilson a year ago over in Williamsburg. So it'll be a tough matchup, one that I can guarantee you Lindsey Wilson coaching staff and student athletes will not be looking past and looking for that Battle of Highway 55 in a couple weeks. They're going to focus solely on the University of Cumberland's here in about 6 days.
All right. Well, then as we wrap it up, Chris, thank you so much again for your time tonight. So people want to watch or listen to your broadcast. How do they find you? Radio, online? How are they going to connect with you to hear about the Blue Raiders?
Yeah, we put every one of our links, whether obviously our home games are video, and so those links are at lindsayathletics.com. We also link all of our away games for the audio on there as well. I'm real fortunate to here locally in Columbia, Kentucky, to have a great partner in our radio station, WAIN. They have an app that you can, Fort Broadcasting, you can go on and get that app and download it. And you can listen to us free of charge. It's we're blessed to have an administration at Lindsey Wilson that supports our sports information department, our athletic programs, and it's just fun being able to call football games. I tend to get a little excited from time to time, as if anybody's ever watched can attest to. So it's I don't know. It's just football's great. I mean, it is absolutely awesome sport to call, and it's fun. I just really appreciate what Lindsey Wilson and the folks here in Columbia support our university. See, you almost got me.
I'm just teeing it up there for you, Chris.
That's right.
I'm teeing it up there for you. So, well, listen, I know, and by the way, I'll say this really quickly. I know some of the guys that are already in the chat tonight would say that they feel strongly about their conferences as well, and some
of course they do.
They catch this on demand. But I appreciate you saying that, Chris Wells, who is the play-by-play voice of Lindsey Wilson. Thank you again, sir, for taking time with us tonight. And I will let you go, and we will move on to the rest of the show. Have a great Sunday evening.
Thanks, Joey, and thanks for everything you do for NAIA, publicizing this. It's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, he gets to take a break and rest up because 6 days from now he's going to be calling another broadcast. I know he's going to be excited about that as well, so it's going to be really, really good for him. In the meantime, and by the way, Chris, feel free, just go ahead and get out of that window, and we will move on. And we move on here as it is it's week 6 that's now in the books. So much on the docket tonight. We'll try to get to everyone. Let me really quickly then say, here we are. Of course, Jordan's already come on talking about the Blue Raiders. Well, we had a segment completely about the Blue Raiders tonight, Jordan, so I hope that you enjoyed that. Leo, I'm going to mention your name later on tonight. You did well in the Bet the Barn segment. Hey, Brett, thank you for coming on tonight. Appreciate that. Be part of the community and just stick around here with us. We're going to talk a lot of NAIA football. Roll Stangs. I would think nothing less from you, Dave, and I appreciate that. Charles, still riding with Graceland? Of course you are, and you should be. It's a good team, good program, and there is a lot more good on the way. Shout out really quickly to CJ, and our best to him. And how about them Comets? Casey, I was thinking you might show up tonight. We might get some Mayville folks in the chat. We'll talk about Mayville a little bit later on as well. So a lot to talk about. Bet the Barn segment. We'll wrap up what we did this week. We'll have our top 5 performances later on. Let us get into talking really quickly about the entirety of the schedule in week 6. Man, can you believe 2025's NAIA football schedule? The regular season portion of it is halfway done. Florida Memorial gets back-to-back wins. The Lions, 28-23 over Southeastern. It was an upset there. As a matter of fact, for Florida Memorial, it was the first time the Lions had ever gotten a victory over a ranked opponent. Southeastern ranked coming in. Florida Memorial rallied in this one, came back, got a touchdown in the fourth quarter. Tyquan Wiggin, his first start at quarterback, proved to be a winner. 15 of 27 passing for him. 296 passing yards through a touchdown and a pick. For Florida Memorial also, Nigel Osborne and Gerard Sims, each of them with 16 carries. They combined for 3 rushing touchdowns. Big day as well. You look at Southeastern now, Joel McGrath, 3 of 5 field goals. He made from 48, 36, and 46. But I mentioned that 3 of 5, 2 missed field goals in this, and this is a 5-point game. So I don't know if Roger Meyer's listening right now. The quick math on that one says it could have been 6 more points. Could have gone the other way in that. So a little bit of a tough go there in special teams. Kaiser moves to 4-0, 49-3 over Thomas, who is winless through 5 games. Kaiser had 692 yards of total offense. That's a school record. The defense also held Thomas to 0-10 on 3rd down. So a rough day for the Nighthawks. Shea Spencer, 13 of 23 passing, 229 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He now has 7,000 career yards, 7,032, and he's the first Kaiser quarterback to surpass the 7,000 mark in career passing yards. Props to him. Dylan Simon, 7 carries for 152 yards. That was a career night for him. He had a rushing touchdown. And Elisha Edwards, 3 catches, 101 yards receiving, 2 receiving touchdowns. So Kaiser is going to be going on the road to Miami Gardens next week to take on that Florida Memorial team. There's going to be a big matchup there between Kaiser and Florida Memorial. St. Thomas 3-1 with a big-time win over Ave Maria, shutting out the Gyrenes 59-0. 6th straight win in the series for St. Thomas. Keely Watson, 21 of 29 through the air, 318 yards passing, 5 touchdowns and a pick. Draylon Martin, 14 carries for 56 yards. He had 2 rushing touchdowns on the day. David Hayes had 2 receiving touchdowns, and Jalen Thomas had a receiving touchdown and a 45-yard punt return for a touchdown as well. Big day for the Bobcats. Weber International, 34. Warner, 27. The Royals are still winless, but it's getting to be closer there within a touchdown of the Warriors in this one, who have now won 5 straight in the series. Warner trailed 34-10, but scored 17 straight after that and then ran out of time. So Royals continue to struggle a little bit, making strides, though. Weber International 3-2 on the year, and it's defense and special teams once again that step up for the Warriors. Kendall Johnson, an 85-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. And then 2 scoops and scores. Jahari Treasure, 4-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. Aaron Williams, 19 yards out. He picked it up and ran it to the house for the defense. So Weber International with a 7-point win. Louisiana Christian hosted Fort Lauderdale. First time those two schools have met. 42-6 the final there for the Wildcats. Bryce Perkins, 50% passing, 15 of 30 for 175 passing yards, through 4 touchdowns in the win over the USCAA program. The Appalachian Conference has gotten into league play now. Kentucky Christian invites and welcomes in, Rio Grande into the league with a 42-6 beatdown. First meeting between those two programs, and the Knights are now 2-2 on the year. Jackson Wasik, 27 of 37 passing for 329 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 8 carries and a rushing touchdown as well. And the defense for the Knights, 15 tackles for loss, including 5 sacks in that number and 3 interceptions on the day. So the Knights over the Red Storm, 42-6 in Appalachian play. Point avenges a loss to Bluefield from last year, 27-14, first win for Coach Nigel Lawrence. So congratulations to him and the Skyhawks. Samir Wiley to Quintravious Teasley twice for touchdowns, 12 yards out and 61 yards out there. Quintravious Teasley, 4 catches, 2 of them touchdowns, 132 receiving yards on the day. And Keemon Mays with 14 tackles on the day. He also broke up 4 passes, too, so a big defensive effort there for him and for the Skyhawks. Reinhardt moves to 2-3 now on the year, 40-16 over Union Commonwealth. Reinhardt, the Eagles are now 11-0 all-time in this series. They had 287 rushing yards as a team and 3 rushing touchdowns. Reinhardt will be going to Kentucky Christian for homecoming in Grayson next week. That's an Appalachian matchup. And by the way, sir, not appearing in this film is U-Pike, as the Bears had a week off. They're hosting Rio Grande next week. It's going to be a blackout game there at Pikeville, so a big Appalachian matchup there. And the Bears are 0-4. I think the Appalachian Conference needs to be on the lookout because this is a U-Pike team that is ready to pick up a win. They ran through the league last year with just 1 hiccup and made the playoffs. Let's see if they can repeat in 2025. The Mid-South is getting underway, and we spoke with Chris Wells about the Lindsey Wilson-Georgetown game, 37-13, the final there. Saunders, 153 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. Tate Rice, 23 of 30, passing on the day, 275 passing yards through a touchdown. And Kaya Sherrard, 9 catches, 156 yards receiving. He had one of those touchdown catches as well. Bethel moves to 2-2 now overall, and the Wildcats have a 37 win over Faulkner. Faulkner are falling to 3-1 on the season, and Bethel has now won the last 4 in this series by a combined 207-13. So just some more numbers right there. Faulkner had just 166 yards, 6 yards of total offense. Bethel with Destin Chance, 23 of 43 passing, 329 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, carried the ball 7 times as well. And Jaden Pressey had 5 catches for 122 yards for Bethel. Campbellsville is now 5-0 on the year, 49-34 over University of the Cumberlands. The 2 teams combined for 950 yards of total offense. Cumberlands had 516, Campbellsville had 434. And it was Ashton Ocker with a 94-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, the opening kickoff. And really, it may have been the difference in the game because it was a game that went back and forth. Cumberland went 3-and-out on the next possession. And then in one play later, Trey Bass, and let this be a precursor to the Trey Bass story, Trey Bass took the ball 52 yards on the first play from scrimmage. Campbellsville's now up 14-0. So back and forth throughout the entire game. That 14-point lead, that may have been just enough for the Tigers in this one. Cumberland's ran 94 offensive plays. Campbellsville just 53. They definitely made the most of that. Trey Bass led his team in rushing and receiving, and they weren't small numbers either. 17 carries for 201 yards rushing and 3 rushing touchdowns. 6 catches for 115 yards receiving and 2 receiving touchdowns. He accounted for 5 touchdowns on the day and 316 all-purpose yards. By the way, that's the second largest number in school history for Campbellsville. His 30 points and 5 touchdowns tied a school record as well. Not to be lost in all of this is what Cumberland's did. Drew Gregg had a fantastic day as well. 33 of 62 passing for 425 yards. All 3 of those are single games records for Cumberland's. 33 completions, 62 attempts, 425 passing yards on the day. He had 4 touchdowns thrown through a couple of picks as well. 62 passes in 94 plays. They called his number quite a bit. He had 455 yards of total offense as well because he had 30 yards on the ground too. Wow. Michael Petty, 8 catches, 129 receiving yards, and a touchdown. DK Edwards, 5 catches, 121 receiving yards, and a touchdown. So next up for Campbellsville, they have the bye week, and then that Battle of Highway 55 that we spoke about just a little bit earlier. To the Mid-States, crossovers pretty much across the board. Indiana Wesleyan at home over St. Francis of Illinois, 65-31. The Wildcats are now 3-0 all-time in this series. Arjun Lothi, 19 of 28 passing, 355 passing yards, 3 TDs, and no picks on the day. Isaac Smith, we haven't called his name, seems like as much as we should. 7 catches for 150 yards receiving, 2 receiving touchdowns. And Cameron Morrison, 11 carries, 85 yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns for the Wildcats. For St. Francis, Ryan Little had 9 catches for 148 yards and a touchdown catch. Siena Heights moves to 2-2 now on the Swan Song Tour. 61-24 over Judson. The Eagles remain winless now through 5 games. Braylon Himmeline, 15 of 23 passing, 274 passing yards on the day, 3 touchdowns and 1 pick. And DJ Young for Siena Heights had a 77-yard kickoff return in the 4th quarter. That's his 3rd kickoff return for a touchdown in this season. Props to him for that. Siena Heights, well, I guess things do heat up for him. Siena Heights leads the country in kickoff return, averaged 31 yards per return. Shout out really quickly to Matt. And again, someone I expected to see in the chat tonight, because every day is a great day to be a Comet, but Saturday was extra special. So a game that we'll get to here in just a moment. Still in the Mid-States right now. Marion to 4-1. Madonna now 1-4. The Knights over the Crusaders, 58-7 in this one. Marion 4-0 all-time in this series. Tristan Polk, 17 of 21 passing for 253 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, no picks. And Jake Reichard, 4 catches on the day, 33 receiving yards. That brings his total all-time now to 100 career receptions for Marion. Congratulations to Jake Reichard for hitting that mark and for the win on Saturday, 58-7 over Madonna. St. Francis of Indiana, 4-1, and Taylor drops to 3-2, a 49-35 victory for the Cougars in this one. Now 22-3 all-time in this series. And after a 31-28 loss to Campbellsville, and we're seeing just how good Campbellsville is in the season opener for St. Francis, the Cougars have now won 4 straight. Taylor got up 14-0 midway through the second quarter, and then 21 straight points for St. Francis after that. They took the lead and took it on into the house. Joshua Kulka, 14 of 23 passing, 295 passing yards, 5 passing touchdowns, no picks on the day. Shout out to Kulka for his play not only on Saturday, but all season long. For Taylor, Nathan Parker continues to lead the way. 24 carries, 132 rushing yards, 2 more rushing touchdowns for Parker. St. Xavier at Defiance for homecoming, and it looks like the Yellow Jackets, well, they picked the wrong candidate for homecoming. 42-17. Dominic D'Ambrosio, 19 of 31 passing, 334 yards through the air, 3 passing touchdowns, did not throw a pick, had 7 carries, 12 yards, but a rushing touchdown as well. We move over to the Heart, and Grandview continues to be Grandview, 5-0 now, 65 straight regular season wins. Grandview has now won 8 straight in the series over William Penn. 41-9 was the final in this one. They kept the Rock and Ladder Trophy, and we'll talk about this game a little bit more in our Bet the Barn segment, as it had, took up 50% of our Bet the Barn lines in this one. Jackson Waring, 16 of 25 passing, 175 passing yards, threw 4 passing touchdowns, no picks, 6 carries for 61 yards, and a rushing touchdown as well. Lance Clayberg, 4 catches, 53 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns, and John Argo had 6 tackles on an interception as well. The defense continues to be strong for Grandview. William Penn's Sterling Ramsey II, 22 of 42 passing, 183 passing yards. He didn't throw a touchdown. He did rush for a touchdown. He didn't throw a touchdown, but he threw 3 picks on the day, part of that great defensive effort for the Vikings. And this one, Benedictine, 52-21 over Missouri Baptist. And the Ravens are now 5-1 on the year. Shout out to the Ravens. I think we've seen one shout out to the Ravens already in the chat today. Benedictine had 316 rushing yards as a team. That's the most in a couple of years there. Missouri Baptist scored first, and then it was 31 straight points for the Ravens. Xavier Ugorji, 24 carries, 142 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Benedictine goes to 5-1 now on the season. The crossover in the Heart, Missouri Valley, with a 30-28 victory over St. Ambrose. The Fighting Bees fall to 1-5 on the year. Missouri Valley 3-2 on the year. The rubber match in a series that had a little bit of a break in it. These two teams went 1-1 in games played in 1956 and 57. And the Vikings get the rubber match in this one. St. Ambrose went up 28-21 with 4:24 left on a Trey Jenkins touchdown run. And then Missouri Valley answered with a 2-play 64-yard drive that took only 41 seconds. They missed the extra point and trailed 28-27. St. Ambrose, Trey Jenkins picked up a couple of first downs, but they still had to punt because they didn't run enough time off the clock. So Missouri Valley comes back. They get all the way down to the St. Ambrose 4, and then it was Bruno Kincaid who kicked a 21-yard field goal. It went through with 8 seconds left, and there's your final 30-28. A lot of drama there in Missouri on this one. Tamel Staples, 20 of 30 passing, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. Khalil White had 5 catches for 124 yards through the air, 2 receiving touchdowns. And for St. Ambrose, Trey Jenkins, we mentioned him, 38 carries, 193 yards rushing, 2 rushing touchdowns. Ultimately, just not quite enough as Missouri Valley gets the win. I'm going to take my breath for just a moment and say, hey, listen, thanks for watching Midwest Sportsnet. Thanks for watching this show, College Football This Week, here on the channel. If you have not already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. We're looking to get to 5,000 subscribers before the end of this calendar year, and hope you'll be a part of that and join the community. We enjoy talking in the chat, the comments. There are folks who comment over the course of the week. Maybe they had a chance to watch it on the on-demand instead of the live version that you might be watching right now. So please be a part of the community here. Subscribe. You can actually join and become a member of the channel as well if you'd like to do that. Any way around, we're glad that you're here, and man, you're awesome. Thanks for being a part of this. God made you well. Don't ever forget that. We move over now to the Heart South for this one. Baker at home gets back-to-back wins now. 68-14 over William Woods. The Wildcats are now 2-3 on the year. Truman Julesgard, 17 of 19 passing for 277 yards. Now, that's a pretty solid number. We're actually going to see a number just slightly better later on, but 17 of 19 passing, just better than 90% through the air. 3 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, 3 carries, 2 rushing touchdowns as well. Julesgard has gotten better with each passing game, and I know that sounds like an allusion to his passing, but with each game along the way, he has gotten better over the course of this season. and it's shown up, and actually in the last 2 weeks shown up in the win column for Baker. Adrian Seals, 6 catches, 154 yards through the air, 3 receiving touchdowns. Baker also did a great job on defense. Another team with 4 interceptions on the day, including a Zach Kramer pick 6, part of the score, 68-14, Baker over William Woods. Mid-American Nazarene, 35. Central Methodist, 3. The Pioneers have now won 4 straight in the series. Drew Miller, 15 of 27 passing, 193 yards through the air, 3 passing touchdowns. Zane Hall had 7 catches for 137 yards. And Samuel Gonzalez, the season continues to go strong for him. 4 catches, 42 yards through the air, 2 receiving touchdowns. Peru State, 4-2 now with a 54-0 blanking of Clark. Peru State scored at least twice in each quarter. C.J. Dixon, 15 of 27 through the air, 302 yards passing, 4 passing touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. 5 carries, 23 yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. And here's an interesting stat, though, and it may not be the stat that the folks who are Bobcats fans want to hear, though. Dixon, for the season, has 15 passing touchdowns and 4 rushing touchdowns. However, he has 15 passing touchdowns and 7 interceptions, 4 rushing touchdowns, fumbled it 5 times and lost it twice. So you account for 19 touchdowns, but you also have turned it over 9 times. So it's almost a 2-to-1 ratio of scores to turnovers there. If that's something that Dixon can correct, then you have to think that the Bobcats have an opportunity in that Hart North. There are adjustments that need to be made, though, before they're going to get to take on a Grandview team, and that is that's a big deal right there. All right, Culver Stockton 3-3 on the season now after a 28-21 win at Graceland. It was T.J. Shanks who came in for the injured C.J. Brooks and got 2 touchdown passes on the day for Graceland, and the Yellow Jackets got up early. But then 28 straight points for Culver Stockton. That proved to be just enough. Liam Thornton with 3 touchdown passes for the Wildcats. 20 of 41 through the air, 243 yards. We mentioned the 3 TDs and 1 pick for Liam Thornton. TJ Shanks, again, now coming in. 21 of 36 through the day, 309 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He threw 2 picks as well. And let's move to the comments here. Charles, Bullock has 534 yards in the season. Minor has, it's a strong running game. Minor has 731 yards on the season as well. Strong offense, strong running game. Shanks' first game to start as a true freshman. So shout out to him. And Charles, man, I'm glad to see you in the chat tonight as well. Shout out to Graceland. They come up short to the Wildcats on this one. All right, Tool Envy. Man, good to see you come into the chat tonight. Love the show. Does Midwest Sportsnet have a Venmo so we can help support the comment? Okay, I have never been asked this question before, and I will answer it. This is going to be a first for this channel. Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet has been working with me to get my Venmo game up, and it is not strong. So that's not the way to go on that. We do have, if you join the channel as a member, and it's like $3.99 a month to do that, there's that. But you can also do the super chats and super thanks and super stickers, and those are all things that we can do as the channel got monetized a few years back, and that's a fun way to do things too. So thank you for asking that question. That is one way to be a part of it. So we definitely read out the super chats and super stickers as well, but there are lots of fun ways to do it, but I appreciate you asking that. And one more, Robert Whalen made it for the live show tonight. Man, I'm glad to see you in there. We will talk about those Bulldogs just a little bit later on. All right, let's continue here. As let's see, we talked about Culver Stockton 28-21 over Graceland. Yellow Jackets fall to 2-3. Let's move over to the GPAC because I think I know that Dave Sellen was watching this game. He should have been watching it. 69-6. It was homecoming in Sioux City as the Mustangs come away with a big-time victory in this one. And because I see this here, I will bring it up really quickly. Stopping by to say hi, go eat with the family, catch the replay. Robert, you have to go eat with the family. I mean, and at this point in the night, and you're in the same state I am, my goodness, man, that's a late dinner. Go get that. You don't eat too late tonight. We'll talk to you later. All right. Morningside, 69. Waldorf, 6, and they have 6 points. What's interesting about this, we always talk about the winning team first. I'm going to mention Waldorf first in this one because the 6 points, they actually improved their season scoring average from 2.0 a game to now 2.5 per game. And the score was not offense. It was a pick 6 with 3:10 remaining in the ball game. Morningside had 651 yards of total offense in this one, averaged 9.6 yards per play. Think about this. If you're playing so well that every time you snap the ball, it's almost a first down just by snapping the ball. 9.6 yards per play for the day. Zach Chevalier, 17 of 18 passing. I told you we'd get to that number that's just slightly better. 17 of 18 passing, 327 passing yards, 94.4% completion rate on the day. A phenomenal number for Chevalier. 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Drew Sellen caught 3 of those touchdown passes. 6 catches, 107 yards for Drew Sellen. He continues to have a stellar season. Kyle Sisler had 4 catches, 99 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. And Max Huff, because we have to talk about the ground game, of course, 10 carries, 68 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Hastings with the upset. At this point, it's been a challenging year for Northwestern. The Red Raiders fall, and it is back-to-back weeks. It has been by the slimmest of margins. The Hastings Broncos, 10. The Northwestern Red Raiders, 9. Homecoming in Orange City, and it did not go the way of the Red Raiders in this one. The only touchdown on the day was a pick 6. Wyatt Ryan with a 5-yard interception return for the score. Northwestern has 3 regular season losses for the first time since 2016. They were 4-6 that year. And for Hastings, it was the first win over Northwestern since 2004. So some big-time numbers falling by the wayside in this one. Hastings' Colton Wilmot, 1 of 2 field goals. But he made one that counted. 21-yarder with 5:33 left to go in the first quarter. He missed a 31-yarder in the second quarter. And for Northwestern, Gianna did not kick in this one. Giovanni Kabongo, 3 of 5 field goals. Made a 52-yarder, made a 58-yarder at the end of the half, made a 31-yarder at the end of the third quarter. Unfortunately for Northwestern, he missed a 51-yarder at the end of the fourth quarter. So he was called in at the end of the second, third, and fourth quarters. Just couldn't get that 51-yarder in. And he actually attempted one, and I went back to check on this one more than once. He attempted a 65-yarder as well. He was 5 yards on the other side of midfield. So, of course, he went 3 for 5 on the day. But this is 2 games now in which a field goal kicker went 3 of 5 on the day, and the margin of defeat was less than 6 points. So that one's one that you go back, and I know that they're going to look at the film on that one, and there's just so many things there. And weather presented some challenges as well in Hastings from the wind in this one. If you're a field goal kicker, you definitely know that's going to be a challenge unless it's just directly at your back. Dort, 51. Briarcliff, nothing. 18th meeting now. 10-8 is Dort's record in the all-time series. Briarcliff won the first 8. Dort has now won 10 consecutive games in this series. The defense for Dort giving up just 6.8 points per game, and it's the second shutout in 3 games in this one. And consider this for Briarcliff. The Chargers have been shut out only 4 times in the last 7 seasons. Only 4 times in the last 7 seasons. All 4 of them have been at the hands of Dort. 51-0 on Saturday. 49-0 in 2023, 58-0 in 2021, and 64-0 in 2020. That is amazing what the defenders have done, and definitely have the Chargers number in this one. Briarcliff 4-2 on the season. Season not a loss yet at this point in time, but Chargers struggled against Dort on Saturday. Noah Strickfaden, he was 10 of 25 for 114 yards on the day. He threw for a touchdown. He rushed for a touchdown as well. Strickfaden continuing to have a great season for Dort. Didn't need all those points, but they got them anyway. And Preston McCoy, 3 carries for 112 yards rushing. He had 1 rushing touchdown on the day. Let's talk about those Bulldogs. As long as Robert Whalen, Robert, he left the building, I guess. He had to go eat with his family. When he comes back and watches the replay, he'll know. and you guys help me back me up on this one. We did talk about Concordia here on the show tonight. 5-0 all-time against Mount Marty, and the Bulldogs have now won 9 consecutive games overall dating back to 2024, 52-43 over Mount Marty on the road in South Dakota for this one. Concordia was up 31-7 midway through the third quarter, and if you're a Bulldogs fan, you probably thought this one's in hand. Well, and then it wasn't. Mount Marty came back and scored 28 straight points to go up 35-31, and they did it with a Rugby Riken rushing touchdown and then a scoop and score, and then 2 more passing touchdowns from Rugby Riken. We've talked about him being a dual sports star. How about a dual threat? He can pass the ball, he can run the ball, and he got the lead for the Lancers in this one, but then Concordia righted the ship, and they took over and took care of business. A 5-play, 96-yard touchdown drive to retake the lead, and then intercepted Mount Marty on the first play of the next possession. That was followed by a Carlos Collazo touchdown run. Remember that name. And then the capper came after Concordia. The defense forced a fumble, and the Bulldogs took it and then took a 6-play, 71-yard touchdown drive, which was all Carlos Collazo. Seriously, 6 plays, 71 yards, 6 consecutive rushes by Carlos Collazo, which was capped off by a 29-yard touchdown run for the score. Final Bulldog touchdown in this one. Carlos Collazo, did we mention his name? Yes, in fact, we did. 39 carries, 283 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. School record, by the way, and it more than doubled his previous career high of 124 rushing yards. Big day for Collazo in this one. And while Rugby Riken, we cannot undersell what Rugby Riken did in this one for the Lancers. He completed 45 passes in 74 attempts, threw 424 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, threw a pick, which, by the way, that may have been the most costly throw of the day, was that interception, because it turned things right back over to the Bulldogs at that point in time. 5 carries, 13 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. There were 105 offensive plays in this game for Mount Marty. 79 of them were either a Riken pass or run. He's an incredible quarterback, and it's numbers that I know that he would like to have in a win, and yet still big numbers anyway. Moshe Richmond, 11 catches, 164 yards from Riken, 2 receiving touchdowns. But how about those Bulldogs? 52-43. Concordia is now 4-0 on the year. And let's bring this one up there. Hey, Colton Howard giving a shout out tonight. Quarterback for a team I'm pretty familiar with. We're not going to talk about that team as much tonight, but a shout out to Colton. Thanks for watching, man. Appreciate you being on the show tonight. And hey, we have a new member on the channel, Tool Envy. How about that, man? Shout out to Tool Envy. Of course, we were going to give him that shout out anyway. You can join the channel. You can do that. Thank you for setting the pace on that, Tool Envy. I appreciate that. All right. Attaboy to Drew there, as we talked about Morningside. And, of course, Landry's dad. Are you? Let's find out about that. All right. Yeah, we've already got Colton on there. Thanks for watching, Colton. Appreciate that. Let's talk some more as we move on through the GPAC. Dakota Wesleyan is now 2-4. Got the season opening win against Dakota State, then dropped 4 State and got the win at Doane. 33 points in the victory. Dakota Wesleyan was averaging 9 points a game in the 4 previous losses. Now had 33 points on Saturday. Jed Jensen, 20 of 30 passing, 306 passing yards, 5 touchdowns and a pick. And Cole Holden for the Tigers had 3 catches for 83 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Friends is now 6-0 with a 28-7 win over Ottawa. Friends with 447 rushing yards. Should we say it like this? I think we will. Friends with only 447 rushing yards. Man, just teasing. 1 rushing touchdown in each quarter, first, second, third, and fourth. Darian Sykes, 12 carries for 144 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown to lead the way for Friends in this one. And yeah, how about that? Thank you, Tool Envy. And Brett says, yes, he is in fact Landry's dad. So Shout out to him. Thanks, Brett, for being a part of the broadcast tonight. We appreciate that. Friends with the Wind, Falcons 6-0 heading into the bye week. McPherson 6-0 heading into the bye week for KCAC play as well. McPherson 37-13 over Bethany, and the Bulldogs have won 5 straight in this series. Bethany scored 13 points. That is as much in this contest with McPherson as in the previous 4 contests with McPherson combined. McPherson had a 202-13 margin of scoring, I guess, victory, 4 straight wins. Bethany did get 13 points on the board for the Bulldogs. Ryan Markarian, 21 for 32 passing, 316 yards, 5 passing touchdowns, and no picks. Now, let me pause right there for a moment. In our top 5 performances segment, there's room for 5. Sometimes we'll put more than 1 for the same team in there. There's not enough room for all the great performances tonight. Ryan Markarian's is one of them, so I want to give a shout-out to him really quickly and say, hey, listen, Ryan, we see you here on Midwest Sportsnet. Keep that in mind, no question about that. Dave says, hey, listen, he's a great linebacker, so congratulations. You got the Dave seal of approval, Landry. Appreciate that. Southwestern 62, Avila 0. 5-1 are the Mound Builders right now. They won 5 straight in the series against Avila. 614 yards of total offense on the day. Jamie Odom, 19 for 30 passing, 304 passing yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, 6 carries, and a rushing touchdown as well. And Matthew Holthusen, he's going to set the pace for us now because he's going to do something that a couple more players as we go through the night did on Saturday. 5 catches for 48 yards and a receiving touchdown. He threw 1 pass, completed it for a touchdown as well. Holthusen, not only the leader all time for Southwestern in receptions, he now has a touchdown pass to his credit as well. Keep that in mind. It's going to come back. Aiden Koenig, 9 catches, 143 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns for Southwestern. The Mound Builders get the win heading into the break. Evangel is now 4-2 with a 7-6 victory over Kansas Wesleyan, homecoming in Springfield. Or was it homecoming in Nixa? Well, that's where they play the games. But I'm sure they celebrated in Springfield on the Evangel campus, which, by the way, is a very nice campus. You should stop by and see it sometime. Cole Seagraves and Talon Cope each had a field goal. That's right. Kansas Wesleyan used 2 different kickers in this one. Cope's was from 23 yards out in the second quarter, 3-0 lead. Seagraves, 40 yards out in the third quarter, 6-0 lead for the Coyotes. That's all the offense that Kansas Wesleyan got in this one. Late third quarter into the fourth quarter, Evangel took a drive, 10 plays that went 92 yards and couldn't punch it in. But the defense forced Kansas Wesleyan with a 3-and-out after that, and then a punt of only 32 yards gave Evangel back the ball on the Kansas Wesleyan side of midfield. And from that point, the drive, the touchdown drive, the homecoming touchdown drive, the homecoming game-winning touchdown drive, Reed Potts to Brock Lyle from 18 yards out. Evangel 7-6, the victory over Kansas Wesleyan. Now, remember this about Evangel last year. The Valor lost just 2 games. They were back-to-back games. After those losses, didn't lose again. Evangel lost 2 games a little bit earlier. They get the win, so they stop the 2-game slide. There's a bye week, and then Evangel takes on the Kessinger portion of the schedule. Evangel is 10-0 in the last 2 years against the teams it's going to face the rest of the way out. 10-0. It is not unlikely a scenario at all to say that Evangel will not lose again in the regular season. After those back-to-back losses, Evangel could run the table and with so have an automatic trip to the playoffs. We'll see. Not to write out everyone else in the Kessinger division, but I would think that the Valor will come ready to play without question for the remainder of the season. Again, bye week on the way in the KCAC. Bethel at home, 34-26 over Sterling. Bethel's won 8 straight. Both teams won their first game last year. Bethel turned it into a winning streak, now 2-4. Houston Heron, 17 of 24 passing, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, 13 carries for 142 yards. Let me slow down and say that again. 13 carries for 142 yards as well, 2 rushing touchdowns. Heron had 417 yards of total offense and 5 touchdowns on the day. Wow, big-time effort, and the Threshers get the win. St. Mary, 31-7 over Tabor. The teams combined for 5 touchdowns. Eric Covington for St. Mary didn't throw a touchdown pass, threw 2 interceptions, but he made up for it with 2 rushing touchdowns, and the Spires are now 2-4 on the year. Bissell, the Bissell division, not the vacuum cleaner, went 4-2 this week over the Kessinger division, and now KCAC crossover play is done. It's in the books for 2025. And once again, one division is markedly stronger than the other division. The Bissell division went 24-12 overall against the Kessinger division in 2025. There's a bye week coming up, and don't forget, 2 weeks from now, Friends hosts McPherson, Battle of Undefeated, in the first week of divisional play there. All right. And hey, Dave, thanks a lot, man. We appreciate that. Dave Selling with the super sticker tonight. So appreciate that. Thank you, as always, for being on the broadcast. We're going to mention your name a little bit later on in the show as well. So I hope you stick around for that as we're starting to wrap up this portion of the slate, because we're moving out of the KCAC into the Sooner Athletic Conference. OUAZ 51-10. This was in our Bet the Barn segment as well. Luke Giron, 12 of 33 passing, not the completion percentage he wanted. He did throw for 238 yards and 3 touchdowns, a pick as well, rushed for a score too. Jalen McGee, 20 carries, 63 rushing yards. He had 1 rushing touchdown, had 2 catches, and one of them was for a score as well. OUAZ now 4-0 on the year. Panhandle State with they lost actually on the road at Wayland Baptist in this one. The Pioneers 3-2 now on the year. The Aggies dropped to 1-4. Wayland Baptist stopped a 5-game slide to Oklahoma Panhandle State in the series with a 33-20 victory. Kiamadre Horace, 20 carries, 203 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. When you're averaging 10-plus yards per carry, again, a touchdown every time you pick up the ball, things are going to go in your favor. Damon Ford, 30 carries, 173 rushing yards. He had a rushing touchdown too. Wayland Baptist, and if you look back and you go over some of our shows at the start of the season, we talked about Coach Hinojos' team. It's just hard to say that in a possessive. Coach Hinojos' possessive. Just go with me on that one. The Pioneers get better every year under his leadership, and they're making some noise now in the Sooner Athletic Conference. 3-2 on the year. And Texas Wesleyan with a 38-0 shutout over Arkansas Baptist. Cole Francis in for Carson Rogers at quarterback. 1 passing touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown to the Frontier Conference. And I know that Casey and Matt have been waiting for this one. It was homecoming in Butte. No, Casey and Matt are waiting for another one. This one, Hinchman 21's waiting for. Homecoming in Butte. 49-21. The Diggers from Butte are now 6-0 on the year. First meeting between these two programs, and Montana Tech gets the best of Dakota State. Again, 49-21. Lots of offense in this one. Montana Tech, 555 yards of total offense. Dakota State, 388 yards of total offense. Jarrett Wilson, he had a big day. He had a really big day. 35 of 55 passing for 335 yards. 3 passing touchdowns. Did not throw an interception. 5 carries, 1 rushing touchdown. And he caught a touchdown pass as well. He scored all over the place in this one. Levi Torgerson threw the touchdown pass. Torgerson, by the way, had 14 catches for 184 yards receiving. He had 1 touchdown pass as well, 5 yards out, and he found Jarrett Wilson for the score. Nate Milanowski had 14 carries, by the way, and 1 rushing touchdown. So let's slow down for a second really quickly. I know there's a lot to go over in this one, and for Coach Sampson's squad, they're 6-0. And a big-time shout-out to him and the Diggers for going 6-0 right now. And it's a big win once you start getting into divisional play now in the Frontier Conference. But what Jarrett Wilson did with the touchdown passes and the rushing touchdown and the receiving touchdown, that's huge. Torgerson now, maybe we should have done that Bet the Barn segment this week. He had a non-receiving touchdown again this week. On a related note, Levi Torgerson now has thrown 2 passing touchdowns. Levi Torgerson by himself now has as many passing touchdowns as Ave Maria, Eastern Oregon, Friends, that's probably to be expected, Rio Grande, and Simpson. He also has more passing touchdowns than Waldorf, which has none. Oh, by the way, he's only one touchdown pass shy of 10 more teams in the NAIA. But again, he has as many or more touchdown passes thrown as 6 teams in the 94 teams in the NAIA. So there you go. A big-time win. Shout out to Henchman 21. And a shout-out really quickly. We shout out to Dave Sellen. How about Brett? Brett, thanks for being on the broadcast tonight. A couple of times tonight. Thank you for being on the broadcast. We really are grateful for you being here. And, man, stick around. Just continue to be part of the community. So Tool Envy says, how does the Frontier League just fly to all these games? You know what? It's a good question, and we're to the Frontier Conference in all of this. They had to fly some anyway, but I think as long as you stay in some of those divisional games, and interestingly enough, this is a divisional game, it could be a drive from the Dakotas over to Montana. Yeah, that's probably a drive in that one, but there's still some more out there that they fly to, and we'll get to one of those in just a moment. But Levi Torgerson, man, what an effort he's had this season. He has to get some kind of recognition in the league this year. Montana Western, 40-20 over Southern Oregon. 4-1, the Bulldogs over the Raiders, who are 1-4. Not what we saw for Coach Brown's team at the start of the season. Injuries have taken their toll, and we know that's a big deal. I know that you don't want to blame everything on injuries, but they do take a toll. 470 yards of total offense for Montana Western, and Southern Oregon had 457 as well. Michael Palandri, 17 of 26 passing, 263 passing yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, 17 carries for 69 yards. Seth Shook with another big day, 3 catches, 86 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. And Dom Montiel, 22 of 39 passing for Southern Oregon, 311 yards through the air. But here's the make or break. 3 touchdowns, 3 picks for Montiel on the day. Had 3 carries for 22 rushing yards. Now we get to Matt and Casey. 34-32, triple overtime, and the streak is over. No more losses to Dickinson State, at least to look at this year. Mayville State, 34. Dickinson State, 32. The Comets, and it's a great day to be a Comet, I hear, are now 4-2 on the year. Dickinson State had won 20 straight in this series, and that skid has now been snapped as Mayville State had to tie it up 21-all in the fourth quarter. 2 minutes and 3 seconds left when Moses Nuapas, and I tried on that name, tried to get pronunciation. If I'm wrong, please be kind. 7-yard touchdown run, tied it up at 21-all. First overtime, they traded field goals. Second overtime, you have to go for 2 with the touchdown. And for Mayville State, Aiden Marcusson with a 25-yard touchdown pass to Isaiah Smith. First play, first opportunity. They tie things up. Each team goes for 2, and each team gets 2 on that one. So it's tied up at 32-all. And for Mayville State, after that, it's 2-point conversions all the way for however many more overtimes that you do. By the way, I think that's a silly rule, but that's not the time for this conversation. 2-point conversion, true for Mayville State. 2-point conversion, the Comet defense holds. Dickinson State falls 34-32. The streak for the Blue Hawks over the Comets is now over. Aiden Marcusson, 6 of 12 passing for the day, 144 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 pick. For Dickinson State, QB1 was thought to be Marcus Sanders or Hudson Grovem. It turned out to be Jace Freeze, who was number 2 on the depth chart, following those two who were 1 and 1A, I guess, on the depth chart. He was 18 for 33 passing, 186 yards on the day through 2 touchdown passes and 1 pick. But how about Moses Nuapa, whose touchdown tied things in the fourth quarter? His rushing touchdown made the difference in this game, and Mayville State gets the win. Now, I'd love to hear from Matt or Casey about this. If you're still watching live, shout out to you guys because it is, in fact, a great day to be a Comet. College of Idaho, 48, Simpson 7, Caden Young 11 of 16 passing through 3 passing touchdowns. And Rocky Mountain, the Battling Bears get the first win of the season with a 31-point output over Valley State. First win of the season, Second win in the last 12 games for Rocky Mountain. After Valley City State scored, it was a Darius Haskin 97-yard kickoff return for the touchdown, and that really made the difference. Rocky Mountain trailed for only 10 seconds in the game. Darius Haskin, with the kickoff return for a touchdown, had 4 catches for 72 yards and a receiving touchdown as well. And Tool Envy, you mentioned one about flying to all these games. This one is now a divisional game, but I dare say that Carroll flew to this one. Carroll, 34, Arizona Christian, 12. The Saints are now 3-0 all-time in this series, and they had to fly out to this one. Caden Hewitt, 30 of 38 passing, 378 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He had 7 carries as well for 18 yards. The 30 completions were just one shy of the school record for Carroll. And I would imagine if you're ever in the record book for the Carroll Saints, or even that close, that has to be a great feeling. Gavin Vandenaker, 7 catches, 122 yards receiving, 1 receiving touchdown. Peter Minert, 14 carries, 72 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Wow. It's been a fun broadcast already, and we haven't gotten yet to our top 5 performances. So let's do that right now. And again, I know we had to leave some out tonight. Sorry about that, but it is what it is, in the immortal words of Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet. Let's put those top 5 performances on the screen here. And these were our picks from this week here at Midwest Sportsnet. Truman Julesgaard accounted for 5 touchdowns in this game, and Adrian Seals with 3 receiving touchdowns and 6 catches. Julesgaard, a big effort, more than 300 yards of total offense. And this is, again, it's a team that needed the effort from him. Baker looking like that the Wildcats have finally maybe righted the ship as they head into divisional play. By the way, I talked about some other performers in this one for Markarian, for Zach Chevalier and Drew Sellen. And I think that Chevalier and Sellen just have their names engraved into our graphic here, if you could possibly do that on a screen. But we made room for a couple more tonight that just had to get in there. Carlos Colazo, 39 carries, 283 yards rushing, 2 rushing touchdowns. Big night for him, school record for him, and really made the difference in the Bulldogs' win, as Concordia has 9 wins straight. We cannot neglect Rugby Riken in this game. Not going to put him up there on the same team with Colasso, but Rugby Riken, 45 of 74, 424 passing yards, 4 passing touchdown, and a rushing touchdown as well for him. Campbellsville's Trey Bass led his team in rushing and receiving, accounted for 316 yards of all-purpose offense, second most in school history, really made the difference in this game as well. Trey Bass, a huge effort from him. How about Bethel's Houston Heron, 17 of 24 passing, 275 passing yards, 142 rushing yards, 417 yards of total offense for Heron in this game, 5 touchdowns as well. Bethel needed this. They now have a win streak in North Newton, 2 in a row now, and Montana Tech. Jarrett Wilson, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, 1 receiving touchdown. Levi Torgerson with 1 receiving touchdown, 2 passing touchdowns, and again, what a season he is having. He by himself now has as many passing touchdowns or more as 6 other NAIA programs. So let's go to the chat really quickly, and then we'll wrap things up with our Bet the Barn segment as I can bring this up here. Let's see here. Now there we are. Where are we here? I have to go down just a little bit. There we are. One monitor was ahead of the other. Forgive me for that one. Julesgaard's elusive. He really is. I'm just glad he's alive and well in this one, because the season started out so bad, and I don't know that you could have had a worse start to your season than what Julesgaard has had, and he has actually gotten better. It's not an overstatement to say that he's gotten better with every passing game. And to this question, Brett, how good is Concordia? Listen, I'll admit it. There's some coaches I'm just a fan of. And we say here on the show, and I don't think I've said it tonight yet, so I'll say it here really quickly. The Terry Harrison factor is a real thing. But Patrick Daberco is a coach that I'm a fan of. and what he does there in Seward and what Concordia is doing right now. There are so many big producers from recent years that have graduated and have moved on, and next man up is, again, it's a big thing. People who have waited their time. Gideon Stark at quarterback, who has waited his time, and now he steps in his senior year and has been nothing short of stellar. He's been fantastic. And all of the players on this team, the defense as well, what they've been able to do on defense, but the offense is fantastic. I think Concordia is an upper tier team in the GPAC. And I know right now, and look, we talked about Northwestern maybe on a little bit of a downward year right now. It's been a struggle through the first half of the season. Morningside is at the top until otherwise noted. Dort is making a huge statement to be right up there with Morningside. Concordia, you just have to get the win. Concordia got the win over Northwestern last year, and that was a step in the right direction. But Concordia needs to get another win. If you can get it over Northwestern, and then you get one or the other. If Concordia gets a victory over Morningside or Concordia gets a victory over Dort, then you have to say the Bulldogs are very much realistic candidates to make the football championship series, whether or not they get the AQ and win the league. So there you go. The back half of the schedule for Morningside. Okay, interesting is a good word. I was going to go with challenging, but interesting is good as well, Dave. I think it definitely is not only interesting, it's challenging. If Morningside can play through and win out in that, first off, you win another, regular season title because you go run undefeated through the GPAC. The lone loss on the schedule for Morningside is out of conference play. But I think if Morningside can take what the Mustangs are doing, not only in offense, but the defense is strong too. And you were already talking about a strong member of the linebacking crew there. If they run out again, what does that say going into the playoffs? I still say, in regard to the question, Brett, about Concordia, I think Morningside's number one until otherwise noted. But wow, the statements Dort's making and what Concordia is doing. If there is a top tier this year, I don't know that the Red Raiders are in it right now. And I would say if it includes three teams, at least at the halfway point, I would say it'd be Morningside, Dort, and Concordia. Just our opinion here on Midwest Sportsnet. But since you asked, and we'll throw that one out there. All right, let's get to the Bet the Barn segment really quickly. Hey, we're going a little bit later tonight, but thanks for you guys sticking around for being a part of this tonight. So we have a new segment this season on the channel, and since we renamed the program and really gave it its own kind of personality here for our NAIA football coverage here on Midwest Sportsnet, we have a new segment, and it's the Bet the Barn segment. And since Vegas is not putting lines on NAIA football, shame on Vegas. We're going to put lines on NAIA football here on Midwest Sportsnet, here on college football this week. Now, granted, nobody's betting real money on this. It's all about the bragging rights. And there are three people that have bragging rights from Thursday night's Bet the Barn picks, and you see their names down on the bottom of the screen. Matt Herman, every day is a great day to be a Comet. Dave Sellen, Roll Stangs, and Leo, who got his picks in as well. And Leo couldn't do it on the live version, so he came back in the comments section and gave us his picks. No, Leo was live on this one. Sorry. Some other people have given their picks through the comments. Robert did his through the comments this week. So our Bet the Barn games. And the first one was Lindsey Wilson at Georgetown. And it wound up, I'm going to put there. When I had this before, it just said 1 point. Here was the line. And I'd say we picked the line on this one pretty well. 49.5 points. And it was pretty close, but it was Lindsey Wilson. You took the over on this one. I had to go back and find out what it was. I took the under. I don't know what I was thinking. I was only one of four on this one. Dave, Robert, and Matt, and Sean Wardlow all took the over on that one and got it right. So let's see. Our next one up here was the over-under on points. OUAZ at Langston. OUAZ at Langston. I took the over. I really thought it would be a lot more. 62 points were scored in this one, 52-10. OUAZ gets the win. Everybody but me took the under. And so shout out to everybody but me on that one. Hey, I'm just making the lines. I can't say I'm going to get them all right. All right, let's see here. Did I get that one out there? Yes, I did. The next one was Grandview at William Penn, and we got two totals bets on this one. We got, first off, points. Over-under, 46.5 points was the over-under, and it was under until the very end, and Leo let me know that he kept watching the game because he took the over, and finally at the end of the game, one more touchdown was scored. It was 41-2 for quite a while, and then it wound up being 41-9 when it was all said and done. Actually, we did get the over on that one. So did Dave and Leo and Matt. And then finally, over-under on total offense on this one. The over-under was 679. And you know what? That one was going to be and that was an under. 638 yards of total offense between the two teams on that one. So our winners were Dave, Leo, and Matt, who each got 3 of the 4 Bet the Barn picks right. So tune in on Thursday night, and we're going to have a few more of these picks as well. We'll get some lines for all these games. That's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying making the lines on these. This has really been a lot of fun, and it kind of gives us something else to watch, as Leo was talking about, that he stayed with the game a little bit more, even though it was a blowout, 41-2 at one point with Grandview. But he stuck around and watched the end of it to see if there would be one more score, and there was, in fact, one more score. Okay, I think we've come to the end tonight, halfway through the season. Man, halfway through the season. I've had so much fun getting to visit with you all this year. It's been a totally different year than last year at this time, and if you've been with the channel long enough to know, last year was a bit of a struggle at this time, but, man, we are alive. We're back, and I'm alive, period. So I'm enjoying that part of it. But, man, it's great to get to visit with you guys each and every night. You all are fantastic. Tool Envy, thank you for asking a question that I really have never answered live before, and it was fun to be a part of that. Brett and Dave, thanks for being a part of the chat with the super stickers tonight. And, Brett, thanks for coming on the channel, too. Appreciate that, and for asking questions. Robert was on. Then he went to go eat with his family, so shout out to Robert. To Charles, thank you for being a part of the broadcast tonight. Matt and Casey, how about them comments? And Leo, thanks for being on for a little while. And Jordan, if you didn't enjoy the segment about Lindsey Wilson at the beginning of the show, I can't do anything for you. I did the best I could for you. And we got to visit with Chris Wells, which, by the way, shout out to Chris Wells. And I appreciate him coming on tonight and talking about the Lindsey Wilson Blue Raiders. It's always great to get to visit with one of our radio broadcasters out there. And these guys work hard each and every week, and they do a really good job. So he told you where you can find him on the show. You can do that as well. Oh, Colton. All right. Colton, man, I scrolled through all that, and I did not give you the shout-out that you deserve. Don't worry. I'll give you a shout-out tomorrow, too. I promise for that. So see you, Colton. Thanks for watching tonight. We're wrapping things up here from college football this week. We have another live show on Thursday night. It will be 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern, and whatever time zone you happen to be in, you can do the math on that as well. And there's I want to verify this before I go much further on it. We haven't done too many interviews, our recorded interviews to put on the channel. It's been a whole lot of live broadcasts lately. And I also really do my best to stick with small college sports here on the channel. We love the NAIA. We love Division II. There's a chance maybe to get a couple more interviews between now and next Sunday night. So I'm just throwing that out there, slight bit of a teaser on that. We'll see what to do. In the meantime, I look forward to getting to speak with you again next Thursday night. Brett, man, thanks a lot. It's been a great show, but that's because you all are a part of it. And I mean that. I don't just say that. And I'll tell you like I say every other broadcast. I'll get off the air here, wrap things up here in Studio B, and in a little bit I'll go upstairs, and Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet, if she wasn't watching tonight, will say, hey, how was the show tonight? And I'll say, it was so great because I got to talk to so many cool people in the chat. You guys are awesome, and I mean every bit of that. So God bless you all this week. Week 7 on the way. It'll be a shorter schedule next week because the KCAC, the whole Conference is on a bye week this week. Other teams have their bye week, some of them in the heart as well. I think there are only like 30 games on the docket next week. We'll have fun anyway. We'll have some lines for Bet the Barn, and it'll just be a great week. So if there's nothing on the channel between now and Thursday night, hopefully there is, but if they're not, I will see you guys on Thursday night. God bless you all. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great, great rest of your evening, and go strong into Monday.